Hey, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to Cinematic Reviews presented by Quantum Podcasts. As always, I'll be your host, Chris, and this is the show about all things movies and TV. Well, July 4th is here, and we are celebrating 250 years of the US of A. And I thought, what two movies makes me feel the most American? And that is Top Gun and Top Gun Maverick. On this episode, we're going to be focusing on the first Top Gun as it is celebrating 40 years. It's already been 40 years since this movie came out. And then on the next episode, part 2, we'll be talking about Top Gun Maverick, the movie that is now my favorite movie of all time. It has shattered a bunch of records. It's critically acclaimed. It won a couple Oscars. Like, this movie is amazing, and I can't wait to do a rewatch of it. This was one of the first episodes I ever did on the podcast, so it's really cool to visit it after a couple of years on the show. So both those episodes will be coming out today, July 4th, so go ahead and check those out. This is part 1, so we're going to jump right into it. Before that, a couple of reminders, and then we'll get into it. You can watch the show every week at youtube.com/thecinematicreviews. You can also listen to the audio version on whichever podcast network you deem worthy. You can also watch the episodes on Spotify now. So 2 different places to watch the show. Check out the Facebook page, TikTok, Instagram, all the social media pages. The show is everywhere. Go ahead and follow, support the show. Appreciate everyone that has done that. Also, check out the official website, cinematic-reviews.com, where you can set up a profile and you can review movies like Top Gun and Top Gun Maverick using the popcorn rating system that I use on the show. You can rank them. There's blockbuster showdowns on there, best in shows. So much to do on there. You can test your knowledge with movies and TV, trivia. So much. You can even watch the episodes right on the website as well as the shorts. So much to do on there. Set up a profile and start reviewing. So with that, let's jump right into our featured film of this episode, part 1 with Top Gun.
I'm going to send you up against the best. Yes, sir. You 2 characters are going to Top Gun.
I feel the need for speed.
For 5 weeks, you're going to fly against the best fighter pilots in the world.
You guys really are cowboys.
I'm an instructor at this school. I see 20 new hot shots every 8 weeks.
I don't like you because you're unsafe.
That's right.
I am dangerous.
The wild card. Flies by the seat of his pants.
Yeah, I guess when I see something, I go right after it.
It takes a lot more than just fancy flying.
Gentlemen, this school is about combat. There are no points for second place. Figured it out yet? What's that? Who's best pilot? No, I think I can figure that one out on my own.
So Top Gun came out on May 16th, 1986. Like I said, we are celebrating 40 years of Top Gun, 250 years of America as well. It's crazy to think that it's already been 40 years. I can't remember if this was the first Tom Cruise movie. It was either this or Jerry Maguire was my introduction to Tom Cruise, and I just fell in love with him, especially when I discovered the Mission Impossible franchise and a lot of his other movies like Risky Business, Cocktail. Tom Cruise is one of my favorite actors of all time. He's definitely in my top 5, might even be in my top 3. I'd have to look at where all those actors rank, but he is very, very high on my favorites list. He is just one of the biggest movie stars in the world right now. Top Gun Maverick made it even a bigger career. It's his biggest movie ever. But from what I've been reading with the research, Top Gun was another really kind of risky move, but also ended up being a huge blockbuster for him. The budget was about $15 million, and it grossed a whopping $360 million at the box office worldwide. I think it was like 8 or 9 million just in U.S. and Canada alone. But it definitely is a movie that's near and dear to his heart. It took them a long time to even make a sequel. I think it was like 36 years, which I believe is the record for the longest amount of time in between the original and a sequel. So they, on top of the Oscars that Maverick won, It has many achievements, but Top Gun is a movie that I grew up watching all the time. It's one of my favorite, military-centered films. It's one of Tom Cruise's best, I think, and it's one of my favorite of Tom Cruise's for sure. Brief synopsis: if you haven't, watched Top Gun in a while, or for whatever reason you haven't seen Top Gun yet, it centers around Pete Mitchell, call sign Maverick. Everyone's going to be called by their call sign in here, but they do refer to him as Captain Mitchell or Pete every now and then, but he is Maverick for most of this franchise. It centers around him and his best friend Goose, played by Anthony Edwards, as they go on this mission at the beginning of the movie. They end up surviving that mission, saving a fellow fighter along the way, and they get sent over to Top Gun to basically compete with the best pilots in the world at the Top Gun Academy. And they kind of meet a bunch of other pilots along the way, like Val Kilmer's Iceman. He gets introduced to Tom Skerritt's Viper, who flew planes with his dad and kind of gives him some closure on the mission that killed his dad. We also meet Michael Ironside's Jester and some other ones like Slider, Wolfman, Sundown, Hollywood, Merlin, just a bunch of other people. But the key person that Maverick ends up meeting is Charlie, played by Kelly McGillis, who is the love interest in this movie. She's also the instructor of this group of pilots at Top Gun. So that it's kind of a teacher-student relationship going on there. We'll talk a little bit more about their chemistry. I didn't really vibe with their chemistry at the beginning, but after a couple of rewatches, their chemistry together as a couple seemed to be more believable. Versus Jennifer Connelly, those are like two rockets colliding. I think he has the best chemistry with Jennifer Connelly out of anybody that Tom Cruise has ever had in his career. Which is unfortunate that Kelly McGillis couldn't come back from Maverick, but I think it ended up working out the way it should have been because of that chemistry with Jennifer Connelly and Tom Cruise. I wasn't a huge fan of the chemistry between Kelly McGillis and Tom Cruise, at least on screen. I'm sure maybe offset they had somewhat of a decent chemistry together, but on screen it wasn't really as believable to me as it was Pete's relationship with Penny in Top Gun Maverick. Now, I love the movie Maverick, so maybe I'm a little biased there, but I just call it how I see it. Anyways, let's get through the rest of the cast. Like I said, Tom Cruise plays Maverick. He is the star of the movie. Then his best friend, Goose, played by Anthony Edwards, who I love Goose. He is fantastic. Unfortunately, he ends up dying in this movie, which ends up being a very big pinnacle moment at the end of the movie, as well as into Top Gun Maverick, as we get introduced to Rooster, his son, who does show up in here for a few scenes as a little boy, and then Miles Teller ends up playing him in Top Gun Maverick. Val Kilmer plays Iceman. He's kind of like not really the antagonist, but he's kind of the prick pilot that just rubs up against Maverick for a lot of the movie. They end up reconciling, going on a mission together, and now they're, as you can tell in Top Gun Maverick, they are pretty much best friends until Iceman passes away. We also meet Tom Skerritt's Viper, who is great. He's kind of the overseer of the whole course going on at Top Gun. He's kind of I guess you could say he's kind of the top, the John Hamm of this first movie. There's a lot of comparisons between Maverick and Top Gun. A lot of people argue that it's pretty much copy and paste, and I'll bring up some of those moments in a second here about those kind of recreating in Top Gun Maverick for sure. But Tom Skerritt, to kind of give you a comparison, would be the John Hamm Cyclone in Maverick, kind of the overseer of the program. Michael Ironside, Jester, is kind of like his right-hand guy, just like Warlock is in Maverick to John Hamm. And then, like I said, we get to meet other pilots that are in this course, Wolfman, Slider. You get that really great moment when Slider's just giving Maverick a bunch of shit, and Maverick comes over and he goes, "Hey, Slider," and he goes, "You stink," and it's just really embarrassing for Slider, just kind of throwing it back at him. We also meet Sundown, who ends up being the second in the the cockpit with Maverick once Goose passes away. We also meet Hollywood, Stinger, Carol, played by Meg Ryan. She is the wife of Goose. We get flashbacks of her in Maverick, but we get a good amount of time with her in this movie. Think we pretty much covered everyone. And then Merlin, played by Tim Robbins, who is Maverick's kind of co-pilot at that last mission with Iceman. So I think, yeah, so it's not a really long list of cast members. It's kind of a not really a small movie, but small cast, which I like. It's not too many names, and I like how everyone's just referred to as their call sign instead of like their full name. Like I said, only a couple times is Tom Cruise mentioned as Pete Mitchell. All the other times he is like Maverick or Goose or Viper or even Charlie. Kelly McGillis's call sign is Charlie. Slider, Merlin, Ice, but he is Iceman, but they call him Ice in here, which is pretty cool. So a couple of notes here, and then we'll get into all these categories. The first note I have is the music. It still hits hard after 40 years. You get the Danger Zone to start the movie off. You get the really cool gongs in there throughout the movie, and just the music in general. We'll talk about the music a lot more in Maverick, because that's what really sells that movie for me. But even in this first movie, it kind of gets you in the, so to speak, the zone. And I just really, really like the music in this franchise. They did a really good job at it. And I like the fact, too, that the enemy in here is unknown. Like, it's not like clearly Korea, Russia, Germany, or whatever the case may be, Iran. It's kind of just an unknown bogey, which is pretty cool. They didn't really, like, designate an enemy in here. If I were to guess, this time period in the 80s, it was probably Russia. Maverick is probably either Korea or North Korea or Iran, most likely. But in here, if I were to guess, it'd be Russia. But I think it's pretty cool that it was pretty much an unknown enemy. The movie focuses on the time at Top Gun, not necessarily that last mission, which I think is a really cool way to do this. You know, most military, you have a clear enemy, like it's clearly, you know, us against Vietnam or us against Germans during World War II, us against Russia. You know, and here they decided to just throw that out the window altogether, and I think that was a smart idea to do. And then the call sign generator, I wanted to give this a try. So there is a website, I believe it's called topgunday.com, where you can just enter your first and last name, and it'll generate you a call sign. And mine ended up being Lieutenant Chris Renegade Opitz, which was pretty cool. So I thought I would share that. I will throw the link to that call sign generator in the comments below on the video so that you can go ahead and try out your call sign, and feel free to write in the comments what call sign you got off of that site. So mine was Renegade. All right, I think that was it for kind of just some brief notes that I wanted to touch on. Let's dive into the iconic scenes, favorite quotes, and some fun facts. There was a lot of fun facts, so I try to pull the most interesting out of there. Same thing with the quotes. There's a lot of quotes that I could have picked here, but I tried to limit it just for time. But let's get to those iconic scenes. I wish I could just put the whole movie in here as iconic, but that is not the name of the game. Iconic is scenes that you think of when you hear the title Top Gun. So these are some options here, and then I will let you know what my most iconic is to me. So the first is that inverted dive sequence. So we get that first mission at the beginning of the movie where Goose, Maverick, and Cougar is the other pilot. They're kind of going on this mission. They end up running into some bogeys. Again, unknown enemy, probably Russia, off the coast of whatever ocean that they are on. But they end up getting into a dogfight. For those that aren't familiar with what a dogfight is, basically just a shootout in the air with planes. And Maverick has this idea to do this inverted dive thing in order to make, how does he put it, international communications. Basically, he flipped him the bird. And I think Goose says that they're like 1.5 meters away from the other cockpit. And this allows Goose to get a Polaroid picture of the enemy so they can kind of see who that person is. but they do it inverted. So basically, so you have the enemy plane like this, and Maverick kind of flips the plane over, and they're kind of just hovering together. It's really, really cool, really dangerous, as Charlie puts, when he's explaining this to the Top Gun course. First day of school, basically. But it's a really cool sequence, and it kind of sets up like, okay, Maverick is kind of insane, but he's kind of also a badass. So that was a really cool scene. Maverick realizing Charlie is the instructor. So the night before, Goose and Maverick are out, having some drinks, trying to meet Maverick's trying to meet some ladies. Goose is married to Meg Ryan. And then he ends up meeting Charlie, who is on a date herself. Follows her in the bathroom, starts hitting on her, sings to her. And then we get this cool moment when they go to the first day of Top Gun class. And lo and behold, the instructor is Charlie, who ends up being Charlie from that night before. So it's this really awkward and funny moment that Tom Cruise is like, oh crap. And they both realize that they've met before. And then he's, of course, explaining this inverted dive sequence to Charlie and the rest of the class. And Iceman is just like, that's total bullshit. There's no way you did this. And Goose is like, no, there is. There's a Polaroid. I'd show you, but it's classified. So that's a really good sequence there. The volleyball game. This is interesting. So everybody is shirtless, and Tom Cruise, before his date with Charlie, thinks that he can go out there and just sweat it out in a game of volleyball in jeans, which is just iconic on all sorts of. You could probably cut this scene out. It really has no purpose. Just the fact that you could see these guys shirtless, I guess. But it's still just an iconic scene. Then Goose's death. This one hits hard still. And even when it's coming, like I did, watching this movie, I can't remember how many times I watched this movie, 20 times at least. And the Goose death still hits me like it was watching it for the first time. They're getting shot down, or not shut down. They're having some malfunctions in their plane. Maverick is telling Goose to eject, but he tells him, and I didn't realize this until the last few times I watched it. He actually tells Goose to watch out for the canopy being the top of the cockpit as it ejects off, wait and give it some time to get away. Well, Goose, in the moment, just quickly ejects and hits into the canopy and essentially breaks his neck and cracks his skull open. And with that amount of force from the ejection, it just kills him immediately. But I didn't quite catch that line until these last few watches, where Tom Cruise actually tells him, watch out for the canopy, I'm catching new things all the time in these movies, even if I watch them 100 times. But Goose's death hits so hard. And then the final dogfight, where Maverick is with Merlin, teaming up with Ice, and I believe it's Slider. And they get into this dogfight with, again, unknown enemy. And Maverick's kind of freaking out because he's having, flashbacks of Goose. He doesn't want to die. He doesn't want to kill Merlin or anybody else to die. Then he ends up, re-engaging and taking out some unknown enemy MiGs and winning the day. And then you get that cool celebration at the end between him and Ice. The most iconic for me is probably Goose's death. It hits hard, like I said, after all these years. And even though it's coming, it still hits like it was the first time watching it. It's just the moment I think of when I hear Top Gun is Anthony Edwards' body crashing into the canopy of the cockpit. And then Tom Cruise holding him in the ocean. Goose, come on! And as he's crying out for his best friend, it's total, really, really heartbreaking. But probably the most most iconic action scene is probably that inverted dive sequence for me. It's just a really cool maneuver, and it's just a total Tom Cruise thing to do. Favorite quotes, like I said, there's a ton of quotes I could pull from this movie, but I tried to, limit it just for time's sake here. So this first one from the commander at the beginning of the movie: "Son, your ego is writing checks your body can't cash." It's just total summary of Tom Cruise himself. It's just he's doing all these life-threatening stunts for these movies, and it's just like, dude, you're gonna kill yourself one day. Maverick, talk to me, Goose. This is like the most famous line from these movies. After the death of Goose, he still talks to him, feels his presence in the cockpit. Another one from Maverick. That's right, Ice. I am dangerous. You know, that's when Ice comes at him and goes, you know what? You're dangerous and I don't like you. And then that's when Tom Cruise is like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'm dangerous. A couple of them from Goose here. Come on, Mav, do some pilot shit. And then smile for the birdie as he's taking that Polaroid picture of the unknown enemy at the inverted dive. Then Maverick, I feel the need, and that's when him and Goose both say the need for speed, which I think is actually the most like quoted line from this movie. Me, I think it's Top Gun or Talk to Me Goose. This one from Ice. But you could be my wingman anytime. Maverick goes, bullshit. You could be mine. This is their kind of celebration moment at the end of the movie where they're realizing that they are going to become friends for the next, 30 plus years. And then the last quote I have here is from the air boss, who is the guy in the kind of the tower that oversees the coming and going planes. He comes into the office and he goes, I want some butts, as a result of Maverick and Goose doing that flyby. And Goose is like, Mav, don't do the flyby. We're going to get in trouble. Maverick's just like, fuck it, I'm doing it anyways. And then this guy comes into Tom Skerritt's office and just, I want some butts. They did that flyby. He's pissed off that his coffee spilled all over him. But I remember hearing the line, I want some butts. My favorite quote is probably Talk to Me Goose. That's the one I quote the most. A good buddy of mine that we absolutely love these two movies and we quote them all the time. Him and I will do the wingman one. So he'll say, but you can be my wingman anytime, and I'll say bullshit. You can be mine. It's just kind of a thing that we do. Now some fun facts. Again, there's a bunch of fun facts that I found researching for today, but I pulled out I think it's like 5 of the most interesting that I thought that I want to talk about in the show today. So. Charlie's older man date at the Officers Club at the beginning of the movie is actually the real-life Viper, Pete Pettigrew. He is a retired Navy pilot. He was a Top Gun instructor, and he shot down a MiG during the Vietnam War. He served as the technical consultant on the film. So he was an actual Viper pilot, was on a date with Charlie. That's pretty cool. Anthony Edwards is the only actor who didn't vomit while in the fighter jets. Yes, Tom Cruise threw up. I don't think I put this on this list, but I did come across it. So Tom Cruise is actually kind of reluctant in doing this movie at the beginning. So what they did was Tony Scott had him go up into a jet, kind of fly around a little bit. Tom Cruise is like wheezing and vomiting in the cockpit. They land. He rushes to the payphone and says, I'm doing this movie. This is going to be so much fun. So even Tom Cruise himself was vomiting. But kudos to Anthony Edwards on being the only one to not vomit. The Pentagon charged Paramount Pictures $1.8 million to use all of their planes and aircraft carriers for the film. That's pretty cool. The Navy only authorized 2 actual missile shots to be filmed for the movie. You can clearly pick out these 2 shots, ultimately shot from several angles, each in order to use both shots repeatedly during the dogfighting scenes, because the aircraft firing the missile is holding a steady altitude and heading, something that would never happen in a real close-in dogfight. All the other missile shots shown in the film were conducted using miniatures of both the planes and the rockets. The company that produced and fired the model missiles did such a good job that the Department of the Navy conducted a preliminary investigation into whether an additional live firings of missiles beyond the 2 originally authorized were done for the filmmakers. So the company that was in charge of doing the miniatures and all that did such a really good job that the Navy itself thought that they were real missiles being shot. That is kudos to them. I hope they got a raise for that. And then the stunt pilot Art Skoll was killed during the production of the movie at age 54. He died when his Pitts S2 camera plane failed to recover from a flat spin and plunged into the Pacific Ocean. His last words over the radio were, "I have a problem. I have a real problem." The exact cause of the crash was never determined, and neither the aircraft nor his body were ever recovered. The film is dedicated to him, so prayers and thoughts to him and his family. That's depressing, man. But I wanted to bring that up because the film is dedicated to him. And the fact that they never were able to figure out what exactly happened and find his body for his family, that's That's really, really unfortunate. So thoughts and prayers to his family and, of course, for him. So, yeah, I love this movie. It's what I think of when I think of the USA. I watch this movie at least once a year. This and Top Gun Maverick. That's why we're doing a double feature today for the podcast, because this is how I watch it. I can't watch Top Gun without watching Top Gun Maverick. I can't watch Maverick without watching the first Top Gun. These are just two really, really awesome movies. I love the music. I love the action. Tom Cruise this is one of his best performances. I think he's better in Maverick, of course. That is probably his best performance of his career. But he's still really good in here, still being a young actor at the time, trying to figure out what he wants to do as far as film making in his career. And then he ends up working with all sorts of different directors like Spielberg and Kubrick and things like that. But I just absolutely, this is an incredible movie. I love watching it, and what a way to kick off the 250 years of America by reviewing the most American movie that I have ever seen. So take a look at Top Gun if you haven't seen it in a while, or if you have seen it, go watch it again. It's such an awesome movie. We're finally covering it on the podcast. I'm very excited for this. So let's wrap things up with the rankings like we always do. We'll go over the top 5 Tom Cruise performances, and then we'll go over the popcorn rating for Top Gun. All right, so I'm going to pull up the Tom Cruise rankings off of the Cinematic Reviews website. Again, you can rank the Tom Cruise performances as well as you can rank the Top Gun movies, even though there's 2 of them. On the website, under the rankings, set up a profile and go ahead. You can rank all sorts of different actors. I've got rankings for Tom Cruise, Jake Gyllenhaal, and Leonardo DiCaprio so far, since those are my top 3 favorite actors of all time. But we're going to focus on Tom Cruise since we are talking Top Gun. So at number 5, I've got Jerry Maguire. I really like him. Like I said, it's either Jerry Maguire or Top Gun was the first movie I ever saw him in. That was my introduction to Tom Cruise, and then I eventually dived into Risky Business, Last Samurai, Cocktail, Mission Impossible, Tropic Thunder. Like, I ended up just watching all the movies that he did. Even Eyes Wide Shut, Vanilla Sky, some of his little oddball, somewhat crazy. He's really good at Magnolia. That's probably another really great performance that he did. I think that one's like 6 or 7 on this list, so it didn't quite crack the top 5. But he's really good in Jerry Maguire. He's got really good chemistry with Renee Zellweger, who is the love interest in there. He's the sports agent. He is the direct agent to Cuba Gooding Jr.'s character for football. But it's a really good performance by him. Show me the money, as he's screaming on the phone to Cuba Gooding Jr. So great. Number 4, I have Edge of Tomorrow. This is a different side of Tom Cruise that we saw. It's kind of like sarcastic, funny Tom Cruise, and I like it. And the action sequences are really good too, but I like his performance in Edge of Tomorrow. The different side of Cruise, kind of the kookier, sarcastic side, I like it. It suits the character in this. He's kind of like a cowardly military guy that's trying to get out of the war, but he ends up getting forced into it, and then he ends up dying over and over again to stop the aliens. Number 3, I wish this could be if Mission Impossible and Top Gun Maverick didn't exist, this would be my favorite performance by Tom Cruise as, what was his name? I am totally drawing a blank on this. Let me pull up Tropic Thunder here. I think it's like Grossman or something. Let me pull it up here, see if I can find it. Tom Cruise, where are you? I know he's in here. God, what was his name? It's just driving me nuts right now. I should know this because I've seen this movie so many times. I think it's like, what was it? Les Grossman. I was close, so it's Les, not Larry. But still, Les Grossman, he's like the studio exec in here. He's in the fat suit. Tom Cruise actually requested the big fat hands to be even more observed. He's got the giant bald head with the hair coming on the side. He's got the glasses. He's got the gold chains, the gold watch. He's dancing. He's got that great line in there. I will massacre you. I will fuck you up. I'm talking scorch earth, motherfucker. Just like the greatest commentary on a threat through a phone ever. I love his Les Grossman, so that is number 3 for me at Tropic Thunder. Number 2, Mission Impossible Fallout. I think this is his best performance in the Mission Impossible franchise as Ethan Hunt. I love Fallout. I love him in this movie against Henry Cavill. His chemistry with Simon Pegg, Ving Rhames, just, it's so good. I really, really, really like him in Fallout. So that is, I think, his best performance in that franchise. And then number 1, Top Gun Maverick. That is his best performance, I think, in his whole career. Probably that's the highest that he's ever going to go. But I really, really like him in Top Gun Maverick, which we'll talk about in the next episode coming up. But those are my top 5 performances. Right below it, like I said, I think Risky Business is up there. You know, like one of his first roles that put him on the map. Magnolia, he's really good at Magnolia. That's probably 6 or 7 in there. But these are my top 5. So like I said, go ahead and you can rank Tom Cruise performances on the website, or any other actor that you want to. Go ahead and do that. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. Now, finally, the popcorn rating for Top Gun. Now, you're probably thinking I'm going to give this the golden popcorn. Well, I'm not. I'm only going to give it the 5 popcorns. I just couldn't. I don't like throwing around the golden popcorn willy-nilly. I don't want it to lose its value. But this is like the highest 5 I can ever give a movie. Like, it's like almost knuckle to knuckle with the golden popcorn status. But this is 5 popcorns for me. It just doesn't, like, I love the movie. It's missing that last punch to, like, holy shit, this is like the greatest movie in the world. Now, I know a lot of people are probably thinking, you know, this is the best movie in the world, which I can see that argument. But it's just missing that last punch to get it into the golden popcorn status. But 5 popcorns, like, this is the highest. Like, I would probably give it 5.5 popcorns if that's how I did the scale. I don't, because it can get kind of messy with the halves. But 5 popcorns for Top Gun. I love the music. I love Tom Cruise in here. I love Anthony Edwards in here. I love Val Kilmer in here. Like, it's, the action sequences with the jets are cool. This general idea of this awesome fighter pilot school in California named Top Gun, where they just kind of fly around and dogfight practicing with each other. It's just an awesome movie. I really, really like it. So 5 popcorns for Top Gun. Well, that is part 1 for our double feature celebrating the 4th of July. Check out part 2, which came out at the same time as this episode, Top Gun Maverick. So go ahead and check that out. Also check out the rest of the episodes that I've been doing, the MCU marathon in preparation for Doomsday. Just did the Supergirl episode earlier this week, so go ahead and check that review out. We got Spider-Man coming up. We're going to do a Spider-Man event in preparation for Brand New Day. So much content to check out on Cinematic Reviews. Check out the website. Check out the social media pages, posting all sorts of news and updates on there, as well as different artwork from all the episodes. So go ahead and check that out as well. Enjoy your 4th of July. Be safe, but also have fun. And we will see you all next time on the show. Happy birthday, USA, baby.